The soft drink industry is worth over $76 billion in the United States, and every day an estimated 60 million Americans drink diet sodas. Sugar-free and low in calories, these beverages are often marketed as a healthy alternative to regular soft drinks. Many of these diet sodas, including some of the world's biggest brands like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, use an artificial sweetener called aspartame, which is around 200 times sweeter than regular sugar and, according to several scientific studies, is a possible carcinogen. In other words, drinking Diet Coke might give you cancer. Aspartame was discovered by accident in 1965 by James M. Schlatter, a chemist working for pharmaceutical company G.D. Searle. G.D. Searle instantly recognized the potential commercial applications of this new wonder sweetener, but the United States Food and Drug Administration wasn't quite so sure. A year after first greenlighting it, the FDA withdrew approval for aspartame in 1975, citing concerns with the safety studies carried out by G.D. Searle. These studies were reported as poorly conceived, carelessly executed, and inaccurately analysed or reported. Potentially negative findings during testing were withheld from the FDA, findings that showed 12 animals had developed cancerous brain tumours. Further FDA analysis indicated that the sweetener triggered tumours in the pancreas, breasts, ovaries, and other areas. In fact, such was the FDA's concern over the validity of G.D. Searle's tests that in 1977 they asked the Justice Department to convene a grand jury investigation into some of Searle's safety studies. It never happened. Just 4 years later, the same FDA approved aspartame, and by 1983 it was adopted by Coca-Cola as its sweetener of choice. Today, the FDA considers aspartame's safety as clear-cut. How was aspartame approved so quickly by the very organisation that had tried its utmost to prevent it from reaching the public? As noted by the New York Times, the approval was a move that fueled conspiracy theories. Firstly, key members of the legal team in the Justice Department left before a grand jury was convened. They left to take up positions as lawyers in a firm that represented G.D. Searle. In other words, they switched sides for lucrative new jobs working alongside the very company they were intending to investigate. Meanwhile, the FDA got a new commissioner in 1981, Arthur Hull Hayes. Hayes had no prior experience working with food additives. It's believed he was chosen after pressure from Searle's CEO, Donald Rumsfeld, who had close ties with the new Reagan administration. Hayes moved quickly at the FDA to appoint a 5-person scientific commission to investigate whether the previous block on aspartame was legitimate. When it became clear that they would uphold the ban 3-2, he appointed another pro-aspartame member to the commission. With the decision now tied, Hayes had the power to break the deadlock. He voted to approve the sweetener for use. A year later, he took a job at a PR agency that worked for none other than G.D. Searle. According to conspiracy theorists, this is clear evidence that Searle used their political and financial muscle to remove any opposition to their wonder sweetener, despite the risks to public health. The Calorie Control Council, a leading organisation representing low-calorie beverage manufacturers, has dismissed such theories as baseless rumours and innuendo. They cite more than 100 published scientific studies that show there to be no harmful effects from aspartame. According to the FDA, the average person would have to drink 19 cans of diet soda a day to exceed the recommended daily dose. They say only people with phenylketonuria should avoid aspartame. Phenylketonuria is a rare genetic disease that makes the body unable to break down an amino acid called phenylalanine. High levels of this chemical in the body can lead to brain damage and epilepsy. Aspartame contains phenylalanine, so anyone with phenylketonuria must avoid all products containing the sweetener. About 1 in every 16,000 people suffers this condition. Everyone else is, officially, unaffected by aspartame. Nevertheless, concerns over its safety have led to attempted bans in New Mexico, Hawaii, California, Indonesia, and the Philippines, while several high-profile retailers in the UK and South Africa have removed the sweetener from their own brand products. As recently as 2013, Coca-Cola had to take out a range of ads in the USA to convince consumers that aspartame is safe to drink. This move came after 9 straight years of declining diet soda sales, which the Wall Street Journal partially attributed to a growing number of Americans who are worried that aspartame and other artificial sweeteners are unhealthy, despite decades of studies by the Food and Drug Administration and other government agencies having found them to be safe. Aspartame has a long history of public mistrust. According to a 1996 episode of CBS show 60 Minutes, consumers have reported more than 7,000 adverse reactions to the sweetener, ranging from headaches to seizures. An examination of 166 medical articles on aspartame by Dr. Ralph G. Walton showed that 74 were financed by the industry. All 74 said the sweetener was absolutely safe. But when Walton, a professor at Northeast Ohio Medical University, looked into the remaining 92 independent studies, he found that 84, that's 91% of them, showed aspartame did have negative effects on health. He noted that whenever you have studies that were not funded by the industry, some sort of problem is identified. It's far too much for it to be a coincidence. Critics of Walton's research, such as the Aspartame Information Service, point out he did not use peer-reviewed publications or say he misrepresented the results. The Aspartame Information Service is run by the industry. However, Professor Walton has his allies. Professor Eric Millstone of the European Food Safety Authority has pointed out an EU-funded study in 2010 that suggested diet sodas increased the risk of premature births, while another study by the independent Ramazzini Foundation showed that regular consumption of aspartame led to unusually high rates of leukemia, lymphomas, and other cancers in rats. The studies were dismissed as flawed by the FDA, industry groups, and the EFSA. A representative from one of aspartame's key producers, Monsanto, declared at the time that aspartame is one of the safest food ingredients ever approved by the FDA. Perhaps the biggest study on long-term aspartame consumption in humans could solve the question once and for all. For 22 years, researchers at the Brigham and Women's Hospital recorded the effects of drinking diet sodas. It found some correlation between consumption and increased chance of leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and other blood cancers. The results were due to be published on October 24, 2012 at 3 p.m. But on October 24, 2012 at 2:24 p.m, just 36 minutes before they revealed their results, the press was told there had been a mistake and that the research was weak. Several scientists involved in the project made it clear that the increased levels of cancer could have been down to chance rather than aspartame. However, the suspicion remained that the paper was essentially pulled at the last minute and the dangers it warned of were downgraded. This led to claims that the sweetener industry used their intimidating influence to get researchers to downplay their findings. Aspartame critic Dr. Joe Mercola claims it all comes down to money. Big business simply cannot afford such evidence to be accepted. Today, aspartame is used in 6,000 products in 90 countries, and more than 100 food safety agencies worldwide have given it their seal of approval. The official consensus is that aspartame is one of, if not the, most extensively tested food additives in the world. As far as multinational corporations and government authorities are concerned, its safety is not in question.
Hey guys, All Time Conspiracies here. What did you think of our latest video? Do you think that diet soda could cause cancer? This video was slightly longer than usual. Did you like this format? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your opinion. Also, be sure to check out our other videos and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.